Is someone going to tell them to sign in with their name and their school?
Nice, Claremont. I have to say hi because my cooperating teacher is here, Perry Berkler. Hi, Miss Berkler. I'm so excited.
So Patty, everything's good on our end. I don't know if you want to give participants a couple of more minutes before you get started.
What do you think?
A few more minutes.
Please get out of there, John. You're in the picture, please. Yes, please get out. Think we're ready? Okay, if you're ready to start, I think we'll go.
You're good to go.
Welcome everyone to CAPERD Core Zoom presentations. My name is Patty Supay and I am honored to be this year's CAPERD president. I hope that you're enjoying these valuable presentations hosted by CAPERD. We are excited to have many outstanding educators working with CAPERD to provide quality professional development and resources that teachers need to transition into distance learning. Although these presentations are being offered for free right now, we need to realize that organizations such as CAPERD are not free to operate. As your professional organization, CAPERD works to ensure that our teachers have the resources they need, and we work hard every day to advocate the state and national level to ensure that our jobs are protected. Remember that behind the scenes work is done every day by dedicated volunteers, such as those that are working today to make these presentations happen. And this work relies on your membership. If you are not a member, please consider joining. If your colleagues are not members, encourage them to join. Our jobs depend on it. Because when the minute requirements return back to California, it will be because of the hard work of CAPERD and those of you that are outside of California that are joining us. We welcome you and ask that you join your state organization and Shape America as well to keep quality physical education and health education in our schools. Today's presentation is the last of 5 presentations for our week-long tech series and our 7th presentation in the Back to School series. So far, the feedback has been incredible. Remember, you can still access these past presentations and the resources that they introduced through the CAPERD YouTube channel, and shortly they will be available through the CAPERD website. Although this is the last of the tech series, it's not the last of presentations. We will continue to offer valuable presentations to you as long as it's needed. We have 4 more sessions planned. The next one is Sunday at 4:30 with Amanda Stanek from Nova Scotia, Canada. She is an international icon, and you won't want to miss out on anything that she has to say, or any of our outstanding presenters that are coming up. Keep up through the Capert emails and social media for announcements. As we plan for the next couple of months, we are looking for your feedback. Please let us know what you need more of, what you find valuable, and what will make you the best teacher that you can be. Tonight, we are excited to be hosting Stephanie Sandino. Stephanie is a middle school physical education teacher in Chino Hills, California. She is committed to helping youth find their red rubber ball. One of the biggest passions is to help students morph their red rubber ball with learning experiences, ultimately ending up with activities they love to do and keep them moving for a lifetime. Stephanie was previously a co-host for Shape America podcast and a committee member for the K-8 Elementary Physical Education Workshop, a teacher leader for Health and Physical Education Collaborative, and an ESPE chat moderator. She's a lifelong learner that loves to reflect, grow, and connect with others in the online education community. Stephanie will be presenting tonight on FlipGrid, what it is, how to use it, and the ideas for distance learning, hybrid learning, or in-person learning. In this session, you will learn how to implement this amazing tech tool into your phys ed class. Spark your ideas on how to use and create class community assessments, beginning of the year activities, and so much more. So right now, I'd like to turn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you, Patty. All right. And if it's okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Jess, you're going to be what I like to call my timekeeper and my screen and audio. I've been teaching all week and I've been assigning different kids every period to timekeeping. So I'm having them put the time in their phones and setting those alarms. So let me know if I'm sharing my screen in just a few moments here. All right, how's it look, Jess?
Good.
Screen share is good. Amazing. I feel like I'm teaching all over again. What? All right, everybody, welcome. I'd like to first off thank Capert for having me and letting me share about FlipGrid. Definitely EdTech is one of my passions, and as she mentioned, I love learning. So hopefully you are able to grab a nugget or two wherever you lie in the tech spectrum. If you're just starting out with it, you're in the middle and you're not quite sure, you know you want to implement FlipGrid, but you don't quite know how to yet, or maybe you know about it, you've tried it a little bit, and you really want to dig in deep. So hopefully I can attend to all of those levels wherever you lie. And then again, before I start off with the presentation, I will have this slide deck available to you. Our awesome panelists are going to have the bit.ly code ready for you at the end. So just relax, soak it all in, and then at the end you can kind of go through the slides. And really today, I'll share a little bit about FlipGrid, what it is, our targets, but I want you to really dive into the experience. So I'm going to be sharing my screen in regards to, I'm going to go into FlipGrid and show you what it looks like, how to post, all that good stuff. So you're going to be seeing a lot of screen shares in that sense. All right, let me go on to the next slide. Well, Patty already shared all about me pretty much. I'm a middle school physical education teacher from Chino Hills, California. I teach at Robert O. Townsend Junior High, and I just started school this week on Monday. Monday was my first day. So because she went over my whole bio, I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on in my scenario and my situation on my campus. So our school put out a survey. 30% of our families responded, yep, they wanted to distance learn the whole year. 70% wanted to go into blended learning. So in order to compensate for that 30%, they put out a pool application for distance learning teachers. I applied, some people got pulled from their roles, so I will be distance learning for the whole year. And my classes will be anywhere from my school site to any of the other school sites. So I have 7 school sites that I'm attending to right now. We have a Monday schedule where I see everyone, and then a block schedule where I see my classes twice a week. When they're asynchronous and I don't see them, they're answering an attendance task question. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what it's looking like, the skeleton, so to speak. So that's where I'm at right now. I am just freshly done with my first week, and man, all I can say, it's a whirlwind, and we have to be flexible, have to be flexible this year. And make sure you take care of yourselves. Those are some points that I took away from this week. And those are just some of the things that I do on my spare time. I promise I do try and get some sleep. I dip my feet in a lot of projects, but it's just because I'm passionate about sharing what I do, and I'm passionate about learning. So with that said, let's move on. So our learning targets today, we're going to actually dive into what exactly is FlipGrid. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into the nitty-gritties of the navigation. So you're going to see the navigation of the student side, and then you're going to see the navigation of the teacher side. So they're 2 completely different things. And lastly, we'll get some ideas for remote learning, hybrid learning, and in-person learning, just because all of those 3 things are still at the table. And although at times we're seeing, yeah, we're probably going to be remote learning for most of the fall, maybe into hybrid learning in the winter, it's just all up in the air right now. So trying to prepare for all 3 scenarios for some of you might be something that's really real and true. For me, I'm going to be remote learning, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on personally, but I'll try and give all 3 ideas. So if you haven't already done so, what I would do, if you have a device near you, I would download the FlipGrid app. It's available iOS and Android. If you don't have a device near you, you can also use the web-based website. So you have 2 options to download FlipGrid. And these are just some general ways that educators from around the world are using FlipGrid. And on their website and their resource section, they have different groups that belong to different grade levels, anywhere from pre-K to 8, high school, higher ed, how educators are using this with their staff and PLC, maybe even within their community. So we're seeing a very broad spectrum of how everyone is using it. And it's really cool because I've even participated within a community using FlipGrid just to say happy birthday to someone. So it really is applicable across the board. And it's user friendly, and it's just awesome. So we're gonna get right into it. This is a little bit more broad. I'm gonna narrow it down to phys ed and health ed in just a few moments here. So first things first, what is FlipGrid? So FlipGrid is a video discussion platform, app-based or web-based. Again, you can download it on your device, or you can go to the website on your laptop or on your desktop. And within FlipGrid, as an educator, you have an account and you create what they call groups. Now this is something new. It's a new term. They used to be called grids, but now they're called groups. And within your group, so let's say a group can be classified as period 1, period 2, period 3, so on and so forth. Within your group, then you add topics, and these topics could range anywhere from verbal or video-based questions. Maybe you post a link to an article that you would like your students to read. Maybe you post a video of a skill. Those are your topics, and they spark discussion and they kind of add dialogue to your community. They're very short videos. So that's in a nutshell what it is, and how people use it is endless. Ideas flow in and out of FlipGrid. So this is a phys ed based slide. So this is how you can use it in phys ed. And this is not the end all be all. Everyone can extend, and your imagination is limitless. But for me, I'm gonna go into some sample phys ed questions and taking a look at the 3 domains. So your psychomotor domain, a topic within your grid can be as easy as demo an overhand throw, demo a motor skill. And that can go into our in-person learning, that can go into our hybrid learning, that can even go into our remote learning. But of course, there are some boundaries that we have to think about. Do our students have equipment at home? Do we have to, maybe improvise? Like if we're talking about juggling, maybe we're talking about juggling something that they can find around the house, like produce bags or grocery bags. So that the remote learning piece does have a little bit more, I guess, something to think about. You have to kind of think about how you can do that with your students at home, but the option is there. Then you have the cognitive domain. This is just a simple example. Describe 3 ways you can flee from a tagger. So now we're looking at offensive, defensive strategies, and I talk from a middle school perspective, but you can bring this down to the elementary setting and what's required of them cognitively at that level. And the affective domain, which is also important right now. What's one thing you wish your partner did? Now that's a little bit more geared to the in-person, but something like we're seeing a lot of SEL questions come about at our district just because we have to develop attendance tasks. So our district came up with a list of SEL questions that we can use and reuse as attendance task questions. And now thinking of that, you can definitely plug this in the affective domain. Describe 3 strengths about yourself. Everyone's unique. Or how about, what do you do to calm down or calm yourself? When our learners are distance learning, it's overwhelming. Gosh, it's even overwhelming for us as teachers. So I can't even imagine what they're going through. So really touching base in that affective domain is so powerful. Another example, end of the year trimester reflection. That's totally relatable in all 3 settings. How have you demonstrated the 5 PE standards this year? Now, I don't plan on particularly hitting 5 standards this year. I know I can definitely concentrate on that standard 5, that standard 3 and 4, but taking a look at those, the standard 1 is going to be a little bit more difficult. Our district unfortunately couldn't get PE packs home where students were able to take home equipment or loan equipment. So hitting that standard 1 is going to be a little bit more difficult. You have to get a little bit more creative with that. Student input and activities that you do, definitely need all the input we can get these days while we're distance learning, and how you can tailor activity to your students. Welcome back to school messages. I've seen staff leave messages to their students as they welcome back. I've also seen former 8th graders leave messages to incoming 7th graders and say, hey, this is how you can be successful in PE this year. Back to school night, I've had parents leave messages to their kids. So I'd set up a little station with a device and I'd ask them if they would like to send their student a message. Now, sometimes they would come with their students, it would be a little awkward, but when they came alone, they would leave their kid a message like, hey, you're doing awesome, I'm so proud of you. Or, hey, why don't you focus your efforts a little bit more on trying to set goals and seeing how you can find wellness and fitness activities that you can bring home and we can help you with. So really that's awesome. That's powerful when you show it to a student. Newsletter to parents. So you don't necessarily have to, let's say you're not quite ready to share it with your kids and you want to try it yourself. This is a great way. Having a little newsletter to your parents, uploading it onto Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, sending it via email. Maybe you have some type of parent portal where you can upload videos and let them know what's going on. That's always really great for parents to actually see you, especially now. And then student feedback on skill work. Students, you're going to see the reply feature in FlipGrid where students can give feedback to each other and their work or their skill or their concept they're talking about, or maybe a problem they're struggling with, like organization or keeping track of all of their classes, whatever that might be. That student feedback where there's dialogue and collaboration between groups, small groups or pairs, that's amazing. Now, we're going to go into a little bit of the health ed scene. My great colleague, Kimberly O'Hara, she's a 2018 SHAPE National Health Teacher of the Year. Huge shout out to her because oftentimes when I'm presenting FlipGrid, she is my partner in crime. So these are all of her ideas and they're very similar. They go hand in hand with phys ed, but I'm just going to quickly go through these just because this is more of her, but I also wanted to give you, a little bit of a taste of how it can look like for health ed. So she has sample questions on her groups, and she does a lot of creative things in her classroom. And one of them looks at pop culture and finding songs and how that song can influence someone's health. And it might be in a positive way where, they're talking about self-appearance. Right now, the song that pops up into my head is Alessia Cara, Beautiful. And then there's songs that, might affect someone in a negative way, talking about drugs or whatnot. So she asks her students to name the artist and the song and what the influence is, and if there are any internal and external influences. And this is all part of a reading. She has them, she assigns them, and she integrates it into FlipGrid. And then she goes into the positive and negatives influences on our health. So this is kind of like her take on FlipGrid and how she can integrate it in her class with her standards. Very similar to the previous slide with phys ed, the back to school night, professional development with colleagues, promoting discussions and sharing best practices. And that can be, let's say, for a phys ed team district wide, like all of the middle schoolers have access to the FlipGrid and, pose questions and support each other. So it's huge. And she has end of the year activities and student input and activities. So there's some overlap with the phys ed slide, but I definitely wanted to give her a shout out and let you know and tell you about some of her ideas when it comes to FlipGrid, because she really is a great resource. And I would highly recommend reaching out to her on Twitter. She's amazing, and what she has her students do, from students, even students who are ELL, it's truly amazing. I know she shared a story where when we were at Capered this year, where she had a class with a lot of ELLs, and she had her ELLs, this is a great tip for anyone using FlipGrid. She had her ELLs write out their answer to what they were going to their topic. So they were going to answer this topic, and so she had them write it out, and read it while they record it. Now that's genius, because a lot of times, like, you put a camera in front of our face and you're like, what do I say? And you get like all kinds of nervous. Well, same thing with kids sometimes. Some of them handle it like superstars, but sometimes they like freeze. So having that support where they're reading something is amazing. And she also has them read it in their own language so that they feel comforted and comfortable reading something that, you know, they know how to speak Spanish, they know how to speak Mandarin, they know how to speak Italian. So when I heard that story, I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's a great tip. So this is Kimberly O'Hara, and she is awesome. So I can't thank her enough for all of her resources. I'm going to hold off on this and let me exit out of here so that I can go into FlipGrid. Now, we are going to go into the FlipGrid that I made for this specific session. And this is what your group looks like. So right now I'm in the Capered core group. And if you notice, right up here or right down here, you have your topics. So these are all the questions that I posed in this group, starting with the first one, welcome to FlipGrid. Now, notice a lot of great accessibilities built into FlipGrid. They've got a closed caption. If you play that, it will actually read it out to you. So really great features here. And then you see your responses. Now, I did have a lot of help from my students here that might seem and look familiar to you. Lots of amazing educator faces. And so these are all the students that have responded. So if I go into, let's say mine, I won't embarrass anyone just yet. You'll notice that the closed caption pops up, and it does a fairly great job. I can see my last name right now, Sandy. So it has some glitches here and there, but it does do a fairly good job at playing. And so it does pretty good. I think it does a pretty good job at keeping up with what you're saying. So that's just an example of what it all looks like from a student's perspective. So if I were to log in using the flip code, this is what students would see. Very similar to what you would see on a device, like on a phone. It's just a little bit more compact. Now, offensive and defensive strategies. There's a couple of new features that are really awesome. One of the updates that came out is the split screen feature. So I hope she doesn't get mad at me, but I'm going to use Andrea's example just because I thought it was super cool. So as you can see, I'm going to stop it for a sec, and maybe I'll take off the closed caption so you can see her bottom graphic there. It's a split screen. So at the top, you've got the image of you, your video's playing, and at the bottom, you've got your whiteboard feature. Now you can do whiteboard alone, or you can do that split screen where you're talking and you're explaining it and you can see your face. So she's gonna talk about a offensive strategy in spike ball, and I kind of want you to see what, like, the awesome thing is you can draw as you're talking. So I'm going to play it so that you can kind of see that.
So Steph, when you play those videos, we cannot hear what they're saying because your headphones are in.
Maybe my headphones, yeah.
Still don't hear anything.
What about now? I don't think you can hear either.
Here I drew my spike ball net My O's in green are my offense, and my X's in red are my defense. So if I'm on offense, I can kind of see that some of the defensive players, especially the one on the bottom part of the board or the screen, is playing really far out from the net. So maybe when I serve, I want to hit kind of like a drop serve and just drop it right in front of the defensive player. So maybe I can score off of a serve for my team.
So awesome. I'm going to unplug because I'm actually going to show you how to go through a video. Jess, am I still good on audio?
Your audio is now a little bit quiet, so if you just project, you should be good.
Okay. All right. Let me know if I'm a little too low.
You're still a little too low now.
All right. I'll plug my headphones back in. How about now?
You're good to go now. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to actually go into one of the topics and I'll take you through the steps to posting a video. So I'll go through building relationships. Now to record a response, there's two spots where you can do that. That's the big camera circle right here, or record a response right here. Now, notice in this particular response, I have a link attached, so you can actually attach documents onto your topics. And this is a wonderful piece of resource that is, crowdsourced. And there's so many great ideas for the start of the school year. I can't even begin to describe. Becky Fulmer and Isabel Morales helped put this document together, and I'm not going to go through it. You will have access to this FlipGrid, so you'll be able to see it in the FlipGrid and click on it and take a look at the resources that they've built to build communities with your students at the start of the year. So this particular question, how are you building relationships with your students while teaching virtually? So if I press record response right here, it's going to take me to that initial recording screen. Now I'm going to click out so that you can actually see me, okay? And I'm going to go through some features that FlipGrid has. So right up here, you'll notice it has the show topic. So in case you're talking and you're like, wait, what was the prompt again? Okay, you can pull it up and it won't record it on your face. It's invisible to the camera. So you can be talking and reading the prompt at the same time as recording. So that's a perk. I like that, especially if you're asking like 1A, 1B questions. Right up here, this is the post-it note feature, really cool because as I was saying earlier, for those EL students, if they need to write it out, and for any student, really, like if they need to write out what they're gonna say first, this is a great spot to do that. And then they just read off of their little post-it. So here are some more options. You can upload a clip you've already recorded from a device. So let's say I had already answered this question on my phone. Well, I can upload that clip straight onto here. And you can also, this is also new, you can record your screen. So you can do a screen recording, kind of like Screencastify. So that's a really cool feature as well. The effects, these are just added bonuses. If you were on Twitter and saw my little like advertisement, you would have noticed that I put in a little special frame, the breaking news frame, and this is just some cool things. You can have your students role play. They can be broadcasting about a health topic, or news at 4, mental health or mental illness. And then they can just go into, mental illnesses or mental health or self-care and talk about the topic, and they can teach each other. So that's a cool frame. There's also different ones that they can choose. This is really just extra things to make it a little fun. You've got emojis that you can put on your face. I know I'm freezing a little bit. And they go straight onto your frame here. So you can definitely play with a lot of different added features. There's filters. Let me take away this sloth background because it's distracting me. No frames, okay. So this filter here, if anybody's like really shy, camera shy, and you just don't want to be seen, or perhaps they don't want to be seen at all, their parents don't want them to be seen, they have this pixelated frame here. This one is also kind of does the same thing. It's a Lego type frame, but again, you can play around with filters. Those are all just added bonuses that FlipGrid has to make it interesting. You can add text if you want to add a name. You can also do that. So I can put Stephanie, or I can put self-care. Maybe I'm talking about self-care, so I'll put self-care. So lots of different things there. And these are just, you can change the color around. It's a lot of features that you can play with. These are just, I would say, as extras. And what else? We've got the draw tool. So if you saw Shelby's post, I think she put PE rocks. You can actually draw things out. Maybe you want to talk about a certain part of the body, like we're going to talk about the foot today. So there's a stick figure of a foot. So lots of different things to play around here. And then I'll go into the whiteboard feature. As I was saying, there's an awesome whiteboard feature. So I can just have the whiteboard feature, or I can have a split screen. And this is the toggle button where it toggles. I can have this much whiteboard. Maybe I want a little bit more whiteboard, and I leave myself there where I'm talking, but I'm also drawing at the same time. And for the whiteboard feature, you will have to, yes, select this. And if you want to draw and talk at the same time, you'll have to do the draw tool as well. So it's multiple features in one. And let me do one last thing. You can add a photo. These filters are messing with me. All right, you can add a photo. So if you remember, or if you saw my little advertisement video, I can add a photo here. Remember that news thing? You can broadcast that, like that news frame. You can totally set it up to where it's official. So I am officially broadcasting for Capert Core right now. So it's really cool. And you can do that. The sky's the limit. Imagine having like a picture of a heart here and getting your drawing tool and teaching students how oxygenated blood flows through. And it's really, really cool. I just thought of all of these things that could happen when I first saw this feature. So I'm going to take out the frame here, and I'm going to record real quick. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me, Jess. You're going to be my test for this. All right. Get closer. Jess, how am I doing?
We can hear you if you talk loud.
Okay, I'll try and talk loud. Let's take a look at the prompt. How am I building relationships with my students? Okay, got it. All right, take away these. I'm just going to do a simple video. Hey everyone, my name is Stephanie Sandino. This year, how I'm building relationships with my students is lots of different things. I'm going to be developing, or I've already developed, a needs assessment survey where I figure out how much space students have, what types of devices they're working with, how many siblings they have, are they sharing devices, lots of important points to know about my students. I'm also having them build a virtual classroom or a virtual room where they get to put a picture of themselves, and then around their picture and around their room, they are putting 10 symbols that represent their identities and their passions. So just a couple ways where I am trying to build connections and get to know my students a little bit better. All right, now I'm gonna plug back in. All All right, so I just recorded my video. I'm gonna hit next and it's gonna. Hey everyone, my name is Stephanie Sandino. This year, it added a little bit more. Hey everyone. Okay, so it does that thing where you're like, it replays your face and you're like, oh, I don't wanna see that. I don't wanna hear that. It's kind of awkward to hear my voice, kind of awkward to see my face. You can totally skip that part, but you can trim and edit your video here a little bit by clicking it. I'm not going to do anything to it, so I'm just going to say, oh, that was perfect. I like the way that turned out, so I hit confirm. So now it takes me through the process of my selfie, because if you remember in the groups, you got to see a little picture of who was talking. So I get to pick my selfie. Oh, I don't want that selfie. So I take a selfie and I hit next, very user-friendly. The next button is your friend. So if you keep going through the prompts, you just hit next. It's uploading my video. It's gonna ask me for a display name. So I'll just put Stephanie Sandino. You can add a link. So if I wanted to add, let's say, my Twitter handle, I could do that. If I added a title, I can do that. You don't have to, it could just be first and last name, and voila. So you have a couple options. You can download your selfie picture, you can download the video, and then you can download a QR code. So let's say, you know, this is for parents, and this is an in-person example where you're at back to school night and you're like, hey, you should scan that QR code. I've got a message for you. So you can do that as well. It generates a QR code for you. So I'll go through that. There it is. It's a nice little QR code right then and there. And I hit complete, and there I am. I've uploaded a video. You can also do responses. So if I click in Shelby's video here, I can respond, I can add a comment and respond to her via video. It's a video-based platform. So nice and easy as far as posting a video. Again, it's just that green arrow, and you just keep following that green arrow until you hit that complete. All right. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you is the educator side. Okay, so this is my educator account. It's free for all educators. You just put in your educator email, whether that's a Google district, split Google Microsoft, or only Microsoft. And this is kind of like my dashboard. And if you can see, I have quite a bit of groups here. I presented this quite a few times. I took it to my ed camp over at my district. So I have a lot of different groups, and you can group them by period, you can group them by class, by teacher, however it is that you want to do that. You have an unlimited amount of groups. And then if you go in here, I'm going to go into the Capered core because that's what's relevant right now. You'll have a join code where students, all they would need to do is generate a join code. And once they put that join code in, I'm gonna scroll my screen down. If you go into flipgrid.com, or if you go into the app, it's gonna ask you to enter a join code. That's where you would enter it. You can also do this by QR code as well, if you generate one for your group. But join codes are honestly probably the easiest way to go around building your group. So let me go back into my group details. Now, in my group details, I have a few options. I can activate topics. I can freeze topics. Let's say you only want a topic to be seen up until a certain time, like a week's time frame. You can freeze it. After that week, students are no longer able to post. And you can hide things if you want to too. Let me go to edit here. So when I edit the details in my group, or when I go into making a group, you have the ability to make it private or public. Now, this is public because, you know, this is kind of like a professional development setting, but I can also make it private. So if I just wanted it for my students, which I do, I make all of my groups private. Now, one of the biggest things is you can use student email, which I think is the easiest, or you can do a student username. So students join that way. When you're using the email, something that's really important is adding your email domain. So for myself, if this was my school account, this is actually my personal one, but I do have a school account, FlipGrid. I would want to add @chino.k12.ca.us. And I would also want to add @stu.chino.k12.ca.us. The reason for that is because then my students are allowed to post in there. If I didn't add that student domain, my kids wouldn't be able to post. And I added this Chino one just because if I wanted the principal to join in or the counselor to join in or any of my colleagues to join in, then they would be able to do that with their work email. So that's a really important tip that I can give you when you're setting up your groups and your access control. So I'm going to delete those just because I want you all to try this. And then you can customize it, have different pictures as your banner. That's really just up to you. Students can receive email notifications when you've created a new topic. That's just a matter of clicking it on or off. And then let me go into another part of your control settings here. So in your control settings, within your questions or your topics, you have some control there. You can control the recording time anywhere from 15 seconds to 5 minutes, so they have plenty of time. If they were to design an obstacle course, maybe make it a little bit longer. You can control the closed captions. You can add media to it. This one in particular, you can add GIFs or pictures. Really, that's some extra as well. If you just wanted to share this particular question, you can do that as well. It generates a code for you. And then this is what I was talking about, attachments. So I attached that Google Doc so that I can give you ideas for community building. So that's where you can click on it and see that document and check out all of Becky's and Isabel's ideas. Now, topic status, that's for when you want it to be closed, if you want it to be closed ever. And then you have control over students liking something, putting little emojis, video editing if you don't want it to be edited, sticky notes, you can add them, you can take them off. If you don't want students commenting on each other, you can turn that off as well. So you have quite a bit of play around here. If you don't want students including links, like there was that one little section under my name where it had link. If you don't want them including links, you can turn that off as well. And something really awesome is you can create rubrics within FlipGrid. And I have attached a video that walks you step by step creating rubrics. At the end of my slideshow, you'll see some icons and they're clickable and they are resources all for you to use. This is a basic one. So this basic one just has ideas and performance, but you can customize your rubric and add any type of criteria that you would like. So your title, the description of it, you can attach a score to it. And my internet is lagging. All right, there it is. So you have quite a bit of play around room within your groups and your topics, which is really awesome. Let me go to cancel there. I don't want to change anything. And go up here. You can also add co-pilots. If you work within a team, you can add a co-pilot. That just means if I add Jess as a co-pilot, she would then be a teacher in my group, and she'd be able to see my students' posts. Or if you work with in the K-8 setting and you wanted to specifically show your science teachers something that you're doing within your FlipGrid, or somehow collaborate, you can add teachers onto your FlipGrid. I'm going to go up here in this toggle section. You can build your collections. There's plenty of FlipGrids that are available to you that you can see. You're like, oh, that was a great idea. I'm going to add that to my collection. And the sky, again, is the limit. There's educators from around the world using FlipGrid in a variety of ways. And if you wanted to do some type of a cross-curricular activity, this is the spot where you can get some ideas. You have your activity dashboard. This is just something where FlipGrid kind of catches how many posts you have and how many minutes you've used. And this is just kind of like your stats, I guess you can say. Mixtapes, so like you can compile a mixtape or a longer video of, let's say you had the kids post exercises, and let's say you wanted it for a warm-up, and you're like, oh, this kid had a great exercise, so I'm going to add it in. And you're like, oh, wait, that student had another great exercise, so you're going to add it in. And then you compile like a whole warm-up full of exercises created just by and solely by your kids alone. So that's one idea you can use the mixtapes as. Your shorts, these are just little short videos that you could probably use or possibly use for parent newsletters. This is my little advertisement for today's session. So they're just videos that you can make and push out. You can download them and push out. So shorts are kind of just standalone videos that you can make. Maybe you want to make a variety of newsletters in your shorts so that you can push them out each month and they're easy to access. And then Grid Pals. So Grid Pals is another cool feature. You have the ability to be a Grid Pal. So you would insert your information if you wanted to become a Grid Pal, but most importantly, you can also find other educators using this. So if I wanted to find middle school and recreation and fitness is here. You can do middle school. You have a variety of subjects here. Health and physical education. Here we go. Now we're talking. I can see what physical educators around me are using this. Oh, there's Kayla. Kayla's in California. She's a little bit up north for me, but hey, I can connect with her. Philip Jess, where is he? He's in La Quinta. So you have at your fingertips educators that are using FlipGrid alongside of you and that you can connect with. Hey, how are you doing FlipGrid? How are you implementing it with your classes? And they're from all over the place. Goodness gracious, Lake Elsinore, that's where I live. You can definitely connect there. So that is Grid Pals. Now I'm going to go back to my slideshow here. But I wanted to show you one last thing, if I can find it. Integrations, that's important. So you have, FlipGrid can integrate with Canvas. It can also integrate with Google Classroom. So if you wanted to share a topic from your group, you could integrate it straight into Google Classroom. Let me go to my discussions, see if I can find it. Oops, I went into SB chat. Let me go back to Capered Core. All right. So if I wanted to share this straight onto my Google Classroom or my Microsoft Teams or my Remind, I can do that. I would just go here and it would pull up my classroom. Now I don't have a classroom for my personal account, but I do have it for my work account. So I would have to manage them and go in and do that. I'd have to change this and go into my work email right here. All right. And all of these toolbars are like getting in the way of me going through it. Okay, I'm back. All right. And then let me go into some actions. If you, let's say you wanted to control your students posting, like if you wanted to approve the post before they actually get kind of like entered into your group, you can do that as well. You just have to go into your actions for your group. And you can do that in your access control. So you can do that. If you want to make sure that everything's good, everything's appropriate, you can do that, no problem. But let me go into here because I know we're getting close to that hour point. This is the resource page I was talking about. So you're going to have access to this, the FlipGrid Educator. This is a blog that FlipGrid made, and educators from around the world have ideas. They give out ideas for you to use anywhere from, again, pre-K to higher ed, staff, community, it's all there. This is particularly for health and phys ed, this integration doc. So it gives you ideas on how to implement it in your physical education classes, in your health education classes, and how it relates to the standards as well. This little circle here, that's the rubric video I was talking about. So if you click on that, it'll take you straight to that rubric video. It takes you step by step how you can implement a rubric. And then your educator's guide, FlipGrid's always, like any app, is always updating. And you can see most of its features here. Honestly, it's probably at version 4.0 right now, but most of the features that you need and need to know about are in this educator's guide. So all you would have to do is click on the images for the resources and you're in. And then if you needed to get a hold of me, I have my Twitter account and my email. So that is there. Feel free to contact me. I am available for you at any time, honestly. Like I'm willing to help. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. Just help and learn from you. But I wanted to give you a few minutes to actually try out posting a video. And you can pick the first one, the welcome one. It's really quick. It asks to submit your name, your district, your grade level, and your teacher superpower. So as I'm available for questions, I'm also going to leave this code up there. So if you wanted to try it right now, you definitely could. And if you're having issues with it, I'm right here ready for questions. But if you want to try it out on your own time, I get that. Like you want to stop listening to the presentation, clear your head, or soak it all in and then try it out. I'm here for any questions whatsoever. But let me just exit out of my presentation. I'll leave this screen up, but Jess or anyone, if there's any questions, I am open for them.
You have lots.
I have
do you want me to
lots.
just start reading them down from the Q&A for you?
Okay, let's go for it.
Okay, so the first one is from Roger. He says, I believe that there's an option to disable those filters for students. I was in another training that recommended having those off at the beginning if your students are not used to using FlipGrid. Can you show us how to disable those when you go to the teacher view?
Let me see. I'm going to start closing some tabs here so I can maneuver a little bit more easily. I believe it's in the video editing feature, the video features, if I'm not mistaken, and you click that and it goes off. So you would have to go into your topic. So again, this is, I know it's a little confusing. This is my group. Then I have my topics. I would go into topic. Click the edit button, go into video features and click that video editing off right here. All right.
Okay, next one is the Google Doc still live when it's on FlipGrid? Are you able to make changes after attaching it?
So I've already, like for example, right here, this is the Google Doc. When I'm making changes to a Google Doc, once I update it and it's the same document, it should stay and add whatever you're adding. So this is a live document, and I'm sure like when I saw this yesterday or the day before, Becky had already added this section where it's Kate's capered session, and she didn't have that from the get-go. She added it on. So whatever changes you make to your Google document, it's going to update right into that document on your FlipGrid. If that was the question, I think that was the question.
Yep.
Hopefully I
Next one is,
answered that.
would it integrate with Schoology?
Does it integrate with Schoology? I'm not familiar with Schoology because I don't use it. We're Google and Microsoft school, but it might. It's just a matter of kind of looking and Googling that. I don't know if, I think you can embed a FlipGrid assignment into Schoology, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the FlipGrid Help Center. So let's go to helpflipgrid.com, flipgrid.com, and then let me type in Schoology, or see if that works. Or let's go LMS, embed maybe FlipGrid in an LMS or website. Here it is. Let's see. So this would be the way to do it. So you'd have to follow these directions to embed it in Schoology. You'd have to use the copy embed code right here. So you would be able to use it within Schoology.
Next one is they want to verify. Do students need to create an account, or do they just open the link through Zoom?
They would just need to have the flip code or the link. They don't need to create the account. The only person creating the account is you as the educator.
Is FlipGrid better to use with Canvas than Studio in Canvas for video submissions?
I'm not familiar with Studio, so, or I'm sorry, with Canvas. So I feel like that's a Bailey question because I don't use it with Canvas. I just use it with Google Classroom. So I would direct them to Bailey, and I am going to show you her handle. She's from San Diego. And if you watched the Canvas session with Bailey this week, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she shares with you how you embed it and how you integrate FlipGrid with Canvas. So this is Bailey Sandsmark. She just presented on Canvas right here. So if you go back and watch her session, she talks about FlipGrid and Canvas a little bit, and how you can integrate the two, how you can app smash the two, and so on and so forth. So that's Bailey from San Diego. Her handle is Coach Sandsmark on Twitter. And then this is her website. And again, if you were registered for a Canvas session earlier this week, all that information is in there.
Next question is, can students download other students' videos?
You don't have that capability. They can't download them, but who's to say they're not smart enough to screen record their screen and do the same thing. So even though they can't download it, they can still screen record this. I can screen record this if I wanted to. Shell be right here. So there's workarounds to that, but they can't download this video once I watch it. So all of these videos that are on here, I can't download them, but I sure can screen record them. So that's one thing you have to look out for. If you want to try out FlipGrid and just have them submit, and you're in the setting where you have to approve them, you can do that. Let's say you had a student that had an amazing post and you just wanted to share that one. You can approve just that one. Like, hey, I had, all of these submissions. I had 150 submissions. I really liked these 5 submissions in period 2. Go check them out. They did a wonderful job planning their obstacle course. They had a great obstacle course idea. So go see them. Like, you can do that definitely. Or if you're getting pullback from parents who might think this is kind of like social media, like my school definitely approves of FlipGrid. It's allowed, but if you have parents that are like, no, I don't want my kid on FlipGrid, obviously we're respecting that. Or if they don't want, their kids' posts maybe to be shared, you can respect that as well and leave it unapproved.
Okay, next question is, when students submit, do I get email notification? Does it get turned in through Google Classroom, or will I have to check another location for videos? I have 100 students and don't really want 100 emails every week.
It'll show turned in on Google Classroom. And then when you go into, obviously, FlipGrid to watch all of your student submissions, then they go in there. So if you have your Google Classroom set up to where like every little thing is an email back, like, yeah, it's going to be all emailed to you. But if you have like your notifications off and your email settings off for Google Classroom, then it will just show in your Google Classroom that it's turned in or missing.
Next question is, did you send out consent forms? When I was signing up, it recommended it.
It depends on your district. Like, my district is fully approved for FlipGrid where we don't have to have consent forms, but if your district does need to have consent forms for FlipGrid, then obviously sending those out. What I do for all of my classes, in person, virtual, whatever it is, I give my parents a heads up, like, hey, these are all of the apps we're going to be using this year. If there's a particular app you're unsure about or need more information on, please contact me. So my parents are front loaded. If my kids are using Strava, if they're using FlipGrid, they know about it right at the tip of the bat, because I let them know, hey, these are the things we're using this year. For my district, FlipGrid's like automatically downloaded onto their class link, which is their Chino Valley sign-in, where they have like different apps. They have News ELA, they have the Webster app, they have FlipGrid, they have their Google Classroom, they have their email. So they have little apps within ClassLink, and it's already there. FlipGrid's like automatically in their ClassLink for us, at least.
And then someone asked, what do you need to do to keep it from other students seeing each other's videos?
You would need to keep all of your topics unapproved in your settings. So you would go into, I'm in the wrong spot. And something I didn't mention, which reminds me now that I'm seeing this page, when you produce your flip code and they enter it and they start a post, it's going to ask them for a login, either a Google login or a Microsoft login. So if you're, that's why it was so important to designate what email domain. That reminded me of that, sorry. I got sidetracked. Okay, let me try and go into a private one because I made this public. So let me try and go into a private group because I have tons. Okay. Go one more. All right. A private one. I might have a private one. It's not there. Let me go into topics then.
It's in topics down towards the bottom.
Hide response, move response. Let me edit. Topic feature, where did they put it? They move it, Francis?
Isn't it right down? You're still looking for to block students from seeing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is up above. Keep going. It's
like,
right under
feel like
where
they
you
moved,
make the title.
they moved it on me.
Yeah, they put it up.
Here we go, video moderation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes they move things around and I can't find them anymore. All right, so here's your video moderation. So I went into my topic, which is the question, and then new videos will be hidden from students until you activate them. So if you hit that, you will have to actually approve the video to be posted.
Yeah, and then I think it changes something down below too, that the way they see it, what you can do with it below.
The video editing or the filters?
I think it's the view they're viewing or share or liking or something. Or
Oh,
maybe
I
it
think
just
that's
keeps all
down
that
here.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it keeps this. The video comments, it does turn off, obviously, because if you don't, if you keep it hidden, then they can't see it and they can't comment. So it does turn that off. Yeah, you're right. So that is your magic little toggle button, view video moderation.
Okay, I think that's all of them. Unless anyone else wants to drop a question to the Q&A real quick before we're...
I wonder if anyone posted. No new posts. All right, so that was
Wait,
all.
we got more coming in.
Okay.
They're asking about a copy of the SEL attendance task questions bank.
Oh,
I'm not sure what that's referring to.
yeah. You know what? I can put that in. Let me show you real quick. That's in a different tab here because that's in my work stuff. So I can show you that right now. Goodness gracious. Okay.
What if you just drop it into a new slide in your slide deck? Because it's that they'd have it as part of the presentation. You could do it later.
Yeah, I can. I'll show it real quick just because it's kind of handy. Distance learning, sorry. Okay, so these are the attendance questions that my district kind of came up with. It was a bank of them. I can attach this to the Google slide. So it talks about, you know, I already mentioned the first one, describe 3 of your biggest strengths. I highlighted it because I already used it as an attendance question.
We aren't
but
seeing that. We're still seeing the
oh, you know why? Because I
pop up.
only shared my my one browser. But I'll add it. I'll add it onto to the slide deck for sure. No worries. I'll add it in resources. How about that? I'll put it right under here. I'll put SEL question bank.
Perfect. And those were the final questions.
Awesome. And I don't know if that bit.ly link was dropped in the chat box, but
yes, many times.
Amazing. So I will add that as soon as we're done here. I will go ahead and add those SEL questions. And then there's my contact info one more time in case anyone needs to jot that down. But again, thank you so much for spending your time, your time to yourself after work, for being here with me and being here with Capered Core. We truly appreciate these, and we hope that all of these tech tools are now nuggets or smaller tools in your toolbox that you can use for the start of school if you already started, if you're going to start soon, or you're gearing up, maybe you're a month out, whatever it is. We hope that this can help you out, and please let me know if you need any help. There's my Twitter handle and there's my email. So thank you for sitting down and learning with us. We appreciate you more than you know. Your kids appreciate you. You are, I am an extension, and I'm hopefully reaching hundreds and hundreds of students because of one little tool that I found useful.
So those of you guys wondering about how to sign up for Sunday's Capered Core, if you go to the Capered website, you can sign up on there for all of the Capered sessions. And from there, you'll receive the link to the webinar for Sunday.
Ooh, 6 PDs. You go, Adriana.